Here's how I went from making $15 an hour working in a warehouse to making $300,000 a year selling health insurance at 20 years old. Let me start by saying, I'm not special. I'm not a guru, and I'm not trying to sell you anything. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. I'm simply going to share with you what worked for me to go from making just enough that I could afford to split rent 4 ways to making enough income that making money is no longer the driving factor behind why I show up to work every day. Another side note, I'm by no means done, or even close. I'm not the apex of what you should aspire to be. This is just the current stage of relative success I'm in right now. I'm proud of what I've done, but I'm nowhere close to the finish line. As far as business is concerned, I believe I'm good at what I do. I believe I have value to share. Are there people who are better? Yes. Are there people who have made more money than me or they've had greater achievements? Absolutely. But I know somewhere there's a brand new agent out there staring at a generic script that they were given, scared as hell to make their first dial. It's my wish that this might just help that person find success faster and learn from my experiences. In the summer of 2017, I moved to Bradenton, Florida with my then fiance, now wife, Caitlin, my cousin Jacob, and Luke, a guy I'd met at the gym 3 months prior. We moved to the area from central Illinois. Caitlin was coming down to study osteopathic medicine. She was accepted in one of the best programs in the country. So we decided to make the 1,000-mile move south with no plan other than to find jobs and make it work. When we got there, we settled in our little apartment, and the first thing we needed to do was find a job. In Illinois, the only real job I've ever had was working for a hometown furniture business in a warehouse and driving a route truck. So naturally, that's where I focused my efforts in the job hunt. It really didn't take long to line up an interview for a warehouse management position in Sarasota. Shocker, people weren't exactly lining up to bust their ass in a stuffy warehouse with no AC in the summer for $15 an hour. I hated that job, but I showed up every day for 3 months until I'd finally have the conversation with Caitlin that I just couldn't take it anymore. I needed a job to make sure that we could pay our bills because the money I moved down with was dwindling fast. We couldn't afford for me to be out of work for too long. She told me, if you're truly unhappy, do something about it. This one sentence changed the entire way I viewed work. I wasn't happy. I didn't want to work for someone else for a paycheck where I could never possibly get ahead. I didn't want to dread waking up every day because I had to go to work at a job I hated. I realized in that moment I had a choice. I wanted more. I had always had aspirations to do something worthwhile in my life. For the majority of my life, I thought it would be something associated with music, but eventually I came to the conclusion that I probably wasn't going to be the next YouTube sensation to get a record deal, and the technical side of production that I had started to go to school for didn't seem to make financial sense for what I could make in the industry once I finally had my degree. This was a big piece of why I ended up moving to Florida in the first place. What I thought I was going to do with my life was no longer on the table, so what now? I started to apply to as many jobs as I could possibly find that seemed to have what I was looking for. A larger income opportunity than I thought I was worth, and something that I could see myself being in for a long time. I wanted a real career, not just another job. I had a few obstacles in my way with these goals. I had a high school education and 1 year of liberal arts college. I was 20 years old with barely any experience in anything. I had no transferable skills or qualifications that warranted the type of career that I wanted to obtain. So I applied to every position that I didn't feel like I was qualified for that said there was a high earning potential. I remember one job listed I applied for in particular, no experience necessary, 6-figure first year earning potential. Great, exactly what I'm looking for. Sign me up. I applied, and to my surprise, I received an interview email soon after. The email was vague. I wasn't even really entirely clear what the position that I was interviewing for, but I was going to go see what this was all about because the description just seemed to have exactly what I was looking for. I dressed up in the best business casual clothes I had and showed up to that interview not knowing really what to expect. When I got there, the receptionist offered me a seat and said, "George is finishing up with another interview. He'll be with you shortly." I was super nervous. I had no clue what I was doing there or what I was interviewing for. I felt entirely underqualified, like I was just going to waste their time. George came around the corner about 5 minutes later and brought me into a conference room. He asked me some questions about what I did for work and what my goals were, and he explained to me that the position I had applied for was a 100% commission sales position selling health insurance. He showed me the weekly checks of some of the agents that at that time I was blown away. I couldn't imagine the type of money that he was talking about at that point in my life. Here's what was going through my head. I had never sold anything in my life. I knew absolutely nothing about insurance. I had no idea what it meant to be 100% commission. I also had no clue what I was being pitched right then until much later. I still thought I was interviewing for a position of a high-level job that I wasn't qualified for, so I went along with it. He said he would love to have me on the team, and I took that to mean I faked my way through the interview successfully. I got the job. Then he showed me another room to fill out some paperwork on the computer, and I had to pay to submit a contract to work for a company that I didn't know the first thing about, and I had to pay to sign up for a pre-licensing course, whatever that is, to study for some insurance exam. Before I knew it, I had paid $300 to sign up for a job I had just got. Then the doubt started to set in. Did I just get scammed? Was this a mistake? What do I do in this position, even if I get licensed? But it was too late. I already paid. I was just going to keep faking it until I made it. Then I called Caitlin up and told her the good news. Hey, babe, I got the job. Caitlin, being the brains of the whole operation, began asking me questions, right? So, what's the pay like? What are the benefits like? What exactly do you do at this company? I blanked in there. Basically, the only thing I knew is I paid $300 to someone that I felt like they knew what they were talking about to take a test to get a license. Naturally, Caitlin wasn't particularly pleased with this decision. She told me I needed to go in the next day and quit and get a real job. At this point, I agreed. I had so much uncertainty in what I was doing, and all of the signs pointed towards I was making a huge mistake. The interview was on a Friday, and back then, no one really came into the office on Saturdays. So when I came in to try to quit, there was just a couple of agents there and nobody that I needed to talk to. I took the opportunity to pound them with questions, and I basically wanted to see if there was a possibility that what I was told could actually be real. And I liked their answers, and they kind of convinced me to stay there and work on my course, so I did. I actually ended up completing my pre-licensing course that weekend, and I went in on Monday morning to talk to George and still not exactly sure what I wanted to do. Part of me wanted to believe that all the awesome things that I'd been told, but the logic inside of me was telling me to quit and go back to the warehouse. When I asked George if I could speak with him, he already knew what was up. It was written all over my face. I was trying to cop out on him. George, being the phenomenal salesman he is, started laughing and said, "You went home and told your wife that you took a commission sales job, didn't you?" I was a bit taken aback at how he read my mind and how, before I even had a chance to say anything. Little did I know, this was just another objection for him to overcome, and he was ready for it. He asked me, "What do you make at the warehouse?" $500 a week. Okay, what if even half of what I told you is true and you make $50K this year? What would that do for you? It was at that moment that I knew I needed to take a shot on myself and just go for it. I had already paid, I completed my course, and I had the state exam scheduled, and he had a valid point that I couldn't ignore. What if it's not bullshit? 5.5 years in the future, it wasn't bullshit. I did end up making that 6-figure income he told me was possible in the first year. And I did it with virtually no investment, a laptop and a headset and a little bit of work ethic. I was promoted to having my own team after only writing business for 4 months, including a 10-day evacuation for Hurricane Irma. I was promoted again to the next level of leadership within a year and grew a team of over 40 people and continued to be one of the top 3 agents in the office during those years. By the time I was 23, I was making around $300,000 a year and continued to do so year after year while maintaining a top producing team, training new agents, and personally producing. So I know what you're thinking. Well, good for you, Jake, but how does this help me? Let me tell you, this isn't just a story about me. This is a story about realizing that you can make a change in your life, that you can take control of your future and create something better. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be willing to take a chance on yourself, to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone and try something new. The key to success is not being special or having some secret formula. It's about taking consistent action and never giving up. It's about embracing failure as part of the learning process and using it to improve. So, whether you're a new agent trying to make your first sale or a seasoned pro looking to take your business to the next level, remember, that success is within your reach. Don't be afraid to take a chance on yourself. Don't be afraid to put the work in and make sacrifices necessary to achieve your goals. It won't be easy, but I promise you it will be worth it in the end. So what are you waiting for? Go out there and make it happen.